Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? I see Eric is on. I just wanted to resync on the tickets that he's been working on. I know the Jenkins one is done. Where else do things stand, Eric?
Right now, I don't think I have any open tickets. The rock release workflows were closed out. Um, yeah, I think pretty much the one thing I don't have an open ticket for it, but rolling out reusable workflows to all Onos project repos hasn't been completed yet, but I'm kind of just waiting to make sure everything functions correctly. Oh, sorry, there is one open ticket I have, which is for an issue I was working with Gabriel on with doing some failures in GitHub Actions jobs related to the token
Eric,
that we were using.
Eric,
Yeah,
your
the
mic.
token one is the one that I don't know the number on it, but I was.
Yeah, so I have a support ticket open with GitHub. We don't have any recent failures, but I have asked them just because they pretty much said, yeah, is this still happening? Can you show us a more recent failure than the ones that I used when I opened the ticket? We don't have any, so that's good. But yeah, I also asked them pretty much like, okay, we can't see this, but like, could you give us some idea on why this would happen? Because it didn't really make sense. We had jobs that would fail while other jobs were passing, and they're all using the same token, so why some would fail and some wouldn't didn't make any sense. So yeah, I'm in touch with GitHub support, but so far haven't really received a very helpful response.
Let's see. Okay, there we are.
I didn't quite follow the whole thing, but if I heard correctly, this is about the token issue that was facing on the Ovid project, correct?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I haven't seen the issue anymore. I don't know if that was something just like a temporary issue, intermittent issue, but lastly, I haven't seen it again so far.
So
Yeah,
it's
me
not
neither.
recurred recently.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, I think everything's been good for the last 2 weeks or so.
Okay, good. So the other thing you said you didn't have a ticket for, but were pursuing time available was the workflows for all the other repos in Onos project, I presume.
Yes.
And
yeah, pretty much that's been rolled out to a couple of repos, and I just want to make sure that the full release cycle works correctly on those before I roll it out to everything else. But that is, of course, dependent on having something go through that'll trigger the release workflow.
yeah, and it's quite a bit of that is fairly static right now. So I don't know.
I mean, I can just roll it out everywhere if that would be the preference. I'd like to see it work somewhere first, but given that there's not a huge change, we could probably.
Why don't you go ahead and roll
I
it out?
just don't want. Okay.
Yeah.
I worry that we'll come to a release cycle when everything's getting released and just have a lot of stuff in place. There's an issue that we haven't seen yet.
So the key issue
It's
here
also
is
fun because they're centralized, so if that does happen, it should happen.
all right. So I think the best bet there is to get that from I don't see the whole attendee list, but to give Wu Zhang to to trigger something and just see.
Okay.
Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Moving, anything else in infrastructure? All right, I see there's agenda being added to core. Let me skip that. I assume that was Gabriel. Continue working on that.
Yeah, that's myself.
Yeah, keep going
I
on
can-
that. Let me jump ahead to unwrap. There's very little to report there. We have done, there has been some blueprint work added, and I just need to update the documentation for that, and that's in progress. So that didn't take long. Coming back to core, whenever you're ready, Gabriel.
Sure. Yeah, so from the core perspective, so I kind of like, I was in a business trip last meeting, so I wasn't able to attend. But from the last kind of like 3 weeks, there have been a few things going on the core. The primary or more relevant one is what we discussed with the canonical team, where the communication between the web console and the different NFs is being replaced for using a REST API instead of the current gRPC. So this is a multi-step process to achieve this. The canonical team already created all the code related to the client side, and that's integrated as part of the Open API repository. And it was reviewed, merged, and now this new version of the Open API that has this client side, it's already part of it's a dependency that is already being used by the different NFs. To complete this, there is still kind of two more steps to complete this. One is on the web console side, finalized to integrate the server side. And then that last step is basically to start using the REST API and then deprecate the gRPC and remove the gRPC communication from the different NFs. Yeah, that's kind of a work in progress at the moment. What else? Oh yeah, so from the UPF side, again another PR from the canonical team. It was moved the UPF from the Ubuntu 20 to Ubuntu 22. So the next step is to move the code base to Ubuntu 24. And also there is a protocol version that needs to be updated. So at the moment we have it kind of like a fixed to one kind of like old version. So that's something that is also in the pipeline to address. So besides these two things, for this Open API new version to be using the different NFs, so we created new images, new patch level images for the different components. I still need to open a PR for the SD code Helm charts that start using these newer images. So I finished to review this last week, so I still have pending to open a PR for the SD code. What else? The other thing is that's what I was writing. So I was kind of having some additional progress with the release 18. Not much progress, but still some additional several improvements into the current implementation itself, trying to take advantage of all the different getters, setters, and additional functionalities that the Open API kind of were created. The code was created with this additional functionality, so it's easier to use those directly. So that's what I'm kind of like been doing. And yeah, I don't know when I can continue working on the release 18. So for now, I have another kind of priority from the project perspective that we're working on. I think I saw in the agenda that last meeting it was mentioned that with Patricia from Canonical, we basically were able to deploy a on-ramp with the Canonical's network management system. So that is some tests that we made, add like as a backup in case that there is not much progress with the rock. So that is up and running, working. So there is just a couple kind of manual steps that we need to do from the provisioning of UPFs and GNOVs in the network management system. But besides that, everything is like working as usual. So we run several tests using the GNOV sim, and everything worked just perfect. There was no need to deploy the CMAP container, so everything is fine. Yeah, I think that's what I have so far from the ASD code itself. Regarding we are kind of pretty much up to date with the current PRs that we have there. So there is 11 PRs, but 8 of them are drafts. And the other 4, that's what kind of like the canonical team. One is the canonical team is kind of doing the implementation for the REST API on the web console. The other one is some changes about some additions to the help charts. The other one is the UPF that I was mentioning about moving the UPF to the 2204. And the other one is a community member open a PR for the SMF, kind of like making if there is some issue or there is no response regarding address or a host cannot be resolved. So basically, it just kind of gives an error and gracefully exits the whole thing. I already approved that, but I'm waiting input maybe from Ajay and Gisela if they have any further comments on that. So I haven't merged that yet. Yeah, so we're pretty much up to date. Oh, and I see that battery's here there. So also battery helped me yesterday. I deprecated a dependency from the GNOV sim, was something really old from 2020 that was never moved. Very basic dependency. So we just use the loader instead of that. So battery can approve that. That's also merged as part of the GNOV sim.
I didn't 100% follow that, but if you could add a bullet to your notes. when
Oh,
you're
sure.
done. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything else on that side.
No canonical folks on the call, so we can't. That's fine. I think we knew that. All right. Any questions or any other core bullets? No one. I don't think we have anyone to report on SD-RAN. But give it a second. Nope. Not like I said, not much to report on on-ramp. I mean, happily, we got a whole lot of green, sunny skies on the integration tests. So those are now finally, after all of this time, running very consistently, and therefore, when they do fail, it tells us something, which was the whole point.
If you want, or if team is interested in seeing the demo for the canonical, I have some setup.
Yeah, if you want to do that, that'd be.
Not.
Let me see if there's any other topics, then we'll come back and close with them. Johnny, is there anything from Iowa State?
Not really. Yeah, I'm still preparing for the blueprint. I do met some issue with the version 1.5. Professor Hongwei, he's just me to prepare the blueprint with version 1.4 first for the SD run, and we have end-to-end setup for that already. Yeah, I will make some change, and then when the draft is ready, I will let him know.
Okay, good. Yeah, do you want the share screen? Thank you. Um, Gabriel,
Yes.
so I will stop sharing.
Okay. Um, here. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so just to kind of give a rough idea, the key changes that were needed, let's see. Themselves is basically instead of using the web UI image, the generic web UI image, we're using the canonical SD Core NMS image, which has basically combined the web UI plus some front end in there. Another change that is needed is basically the database where the user accounts are going to be stored and enable authentication. That's a key piece. So I personally added the node port for the web UI is just to facilitate my port forwarding for the interface, for the graphical user interface. Those are kind of the key pieces. So authentication, of course, the web database for the users and the image itself. So, and the other important part is, again, we don't rely on the CMAP anymore. So basically the CMAP doesn't get deployed. These are the only changes that are needed in the core. On the Gnode vSIM itself, the only thing that we do is we are using two UEs for this example and running in parallel. So basically basically no changes, right? Yeah, so as soon as we log in, let's see, yeah. As soon as we log in, I don't know if you want me to start from scratch the whole demo because I can redeploy the whole thing and then everybody can see how, when for the first time the whole thing gets deployed, the first screen is basically to ask to create a user and a password. So in this specific case, I have created a user and a given password. Then the second step after logging in, we need to create the Gnode Bs and UPFs. This basically comes empty, and this is the manual stuff that needs to be done. So for that, we gotta go into the API. So when clicking here, the API, it's gonna open this stuff. And then we gonna need to start sending the commands. As you can see, this is a command that I sent for the Gnode B to create just like half an hour ago. I created a Gnode B and I created a UPF. For me to be able to create the Gnode B and the UPF, I need to first kind of like post this authorization where I pass the user that I added, created, and the password I created. I execute this command and I get this token. After getting this token, I need to come here into the authorize. I type bearer and then plus the token, and then I click login. So in this case, I just did it like half an hour ago. And from there, I can basically start making the different changes in here. So in this case, for example, I can create one a Gnode V. Let's call it Gnode V2. Let's leave it in the same tracking area. So if I execute this, as you can see, there is a positive response. So the Gnode V was successfully created. So if we come here, now we see two Gnode Vs. Then as basically probably I skipped this earlier. So as you can see, there is two Gnode Vs now, just for the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna create another GNLB, so execute. The GNLB guide was created successfully, and now we have 3 GNLBs, right? So, but we are not using these additional GNLBs. So a similar process is to create the UPFs. So we come here, we give it a host name. So in this case, the name of the UPF and its port, and then we do the execute. For the case of the additional UPFs, we're using the 5GC, Ether 5GC, I think is UPF 1 or something like that. And then we can do execute, and that's how we are going to be adding additional UPFs. But at the moment, I'm not going to touch that. So as you can see, the UPF was created in its moment. So having these 2 components, or having this component, we can just let's see. I can try that. We can bleed. Let's see. GNV. Let's see. I haven't tried, but anyway, I can try
Yeah.
one time.
Don't blow
Anyway,
it
so-
up. Keep going. This is
Yes.
really great.
So we have GNLBs and we have UPF, right? So then the next step is basically we go to the network slices. So the first thing basically is this is gonna be empty. Actually, can I start from the, yeah. This is gonna be empty. Let's see. Yeah. So this is gonna be empty basically, and then you can go into the create. So you gotta give it a name to the slice. You can give it its element. And then the type of, for now, it's just seems to be only the enhanced massive broadband. And then we can choose, what is the UPF to select. So in this case, so we are already using the UPF in the other one, but just for the sake of, I'm not going to execute this just to give an example. And then we can say either we can have this UPF and this GNODBs as part of this canal slice, for example, right? And that's how it was created. So in this case, we have this test slice with its a country code, a network code, the UPF that's using that, and the GNODB using that. So the next step is device groups. In device groups, again, it's something pretty straightforward. So we just give it a name, and then we choose what is the slice that is already there that we created in the previous step. And we assign a specific, IP pool for the UEs, default DNS, data rates, and kind of QoS stuff that we need. After doing that, of course, in this case, we create this test device group that uses this test slide, assign the subscriber pool, and then some additional parameters. And then the next step are the subscribers themselves. So as you can see, I have added 2 subscribers. We can create, so for example, we say, okay, if we want to add another subscriber, so we say, what is the slice that we're going to use? And then automatically the PLMN gets populated. And of course, also gets the device group populated. And then we can get this, let's say we are another group, another IMSI. Now, from the credentials perspective, I'm just going to copy this OPC. That's kind of only the manual part that needs to be done. OPC, key, the sequence number. So then we have added another device, right? So we have added another device, and then for this test, we're gonna tell them we're gonna have 3 because that's the number of UEs that we have provisioned. Because if we add 4, of course, it's gonna fail. Now, of course, this is the result of my previous tests with the 2 devices. As you can see here, we have the web UI, but there is no CMAP container anymore, right? So there's no need for the CMAP. So we have 3 UEs provision, and the only thing that we do, make it there and run a test. So the idea to kind of run it in parallel. In parallel is just, the running parallel takes less time to kind of run the whole thing.
So
Yeah.
just to set a high level bit here. All of this is bundled in, excuse me, with the web UI container pod.
Yes.
And effectively, it's just a set of forms that very directly map onto the API that was already there.
Kind of like that, yeah.
Okay, and when you started, the forms were not yet ready, so you had to invoke the API directly through that lower level little, also a form.
At a high level, yes. So, but the all details basically, canonical team can basically kind of help you with the specifics of that. So this is just primarily of the integration that we did in here for our route.
So in the, yeah, go ahead and continue.
No, go ahead. So I don't
No,
know why
I'm-
this is ready.
I'm mapping this down the road when we make this an option that's available.
Mhm.
This same web UI could be, even with the machinery you just showed us, could be exported to the old GUI as well then.
What do you mean with the old
But I
GUI?
mean, the API is still there. And either within the web UI container, you have implemented the form aspect of it, the GUI aspect of it, or you call that's implemented somewhere else. And for example, Rock.
Okay.
Well, I'm just trying to imagine if this is divergent or could support both Rock and NMS.
Rock NMS. So you mean have both running?
No, not at the same time. That you
Okay.
could let's just put it in terms of on-ramp since it makes sense to me. There'd be an on-ramp blueprint that could bring Rock up, and there'd be an on-ramp blueprint that could bring up NMS, depending on which one you wanted. And the web UI ultimately would serve one or the other of them. Am I thinking about it the right
I
way, or
think
am I completely off base?
no, I think that might be doable. Yeah, it might be doable. Yeah. So for example, in here, just gonna again, we added three UEs, at least from the registration side. So the three UEs pass as you know. That might be doable. Yeah, I don't see why, because here we haven't made that many changes. It's kind of primary which web UI image to use, either to use the generic web UI or the kind of like this custom image that has the web UI plus some front end that was kind of created by Canonical.
Right. So you get just the, I don't know what to call it, the native, the base UI, the base API, or you get the base API plus what you're showing us now.
Yeah, I think that should work.
And in the
I don't
case
see
it's
why
the
not.
base API, then you could have some external GUI such as Rock.
In general, yes. Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay, thanks. This is very impressive. So it's good.
Mhm.
This would be great to make available.
Yeah.
So are
Yeah,
you personally using this now in your work?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm kind of exploring different alternatives for what we need to do. So
Yep. Thanks. Good.
yeah, I think I don't have anything else to share on my heart.
Any questions for Gabriel or on this? Then all right, thanks. That was really good to see that. We don't need to go back necessarily to the agenda, but we were through it. Is there anything else that anyone wants to raise? If not, thanks everybody. We'll call it a day. Thank you.
Thank you.